Welcome back to Hi Guys. It's your boy BDR, back with another AQW video. And as the title of the video suggests, this is basically a challenge boss guide, comps, strats, classes to use, the whole shaboing boing. So around like April of last year, I made a similar video, with the full Ultra Bosses guide in 2024. And that video had like, massive success. So I decided, you know what? Nearly a year later, let's do one this time with challenge bosses. So you may be asking yourself, what are challenge bosses? Well, if you don't know, challenge bosses are kind of like, bosses that require, more than 4 players. With ultra bosses, you're only locked down to 4 players. With challenge bosses, it's now max 7. Now they do have boss shields and their own abilities and whatnot. So in today's video, I'm gonna be, going over like I guess the most popular, challenge bosses. Their challenge, the common strategies. I will be using the common strategies known to beat them. The classes, the roles, the taunters, stuff like that. Not to worry. But before we get started to those, I do want to show you guys, one important thing. And that one important thing is how to make, Scroll of Enrage. Because, guys, it's 2025. We need this. This spell forces your target to focus their attacks on you and cause them to attack recklessly, lowering their damage for 10 seconds. We need to know how to make this. Before we even step foot in any ultra or challenge bosses, we need to know how to make this. Because it's 2025 and, if you don't show up with this or you're playing a class that has to wear this and you don't have Scroll of Enrage, people are going to straight up assume that you're trolling or that you're slow, and we don't want that. I don't want you guys to be in that position. So before we get started, let's learn how to make Scroll of Enrage. Alright guys, so how to make, Scroll of Enrage in 2025 is that, you have to /join Spellcraft. You kind of want to begin pick a ink, Zwelius ink. Mind you, I think you have to be, let me just see, what was it, Spellcrafting? I believe you have to be rank 7 or rank 8 in Spellcrafting to really craft this enhancement, and you need Zwelius ink. Now, let's just see, by spell ink, like, where is it? Zwelius ink, the arcane quills right there. Zwelius ink, what you need, like, mystic parchment to really do. You just buy them. Oh, never mind. Oh well. Alright, so we're gonna pick an ink, Zwelius ink, and what you're gonna want to do here is you want to pick, the first gray one, put it here and here. Put the first red one on the left, grab the last red one right here, inscribe, and there you go, you have Scroll of Enrage. Let's do it one more time. One more time for the birds, just in case you guys missed it the first couple times. We want to do this, want to do this, want to do this, want to do this. There, I showed you guys 3 times. So now you have like a whole bunch of Scroll of Enrage. It gets stacked to 1,000. You really, really need this. It is like you really need Scroll of Enrage. It is used in every single Ultra and Challenge boss. It's a 2-in-1 deal. So yeah, you guys got to know how to make this, especially if you're gonna play a class that like uses that has a role that plays Scroll of Enrage. So we got that out of the way. Alright then, let's move on to our first challenge boss. Alright guys, so the first challenge boss we're gonna talk about is Flibby, Void Flibby. So the standard comp to fight Flibby is these 7 classes, which are Arch Paladin, Legion Revenant, Lord of Order, Dragon of Time, Chaos Avenger, Virus Doom Knight, and any other support slash DPS, kind of like, Chrono Shadow Slayer, Glacial Warlord. But like the first, 6 classes I mentioned should be able to take it down. Those are usually the 6 classes plus like an extra class on top that usually can beat Flibby. Now then, let's talk about Flibby's abilities. Flibby's abilities include, brain fart moment, is its auto attack has a 15% chance to deal a DLT. Its Daze ability reduces hit chance by 5%, which can stack to 5. It also has maladaptation, mana cost increased by 10 for 45 seconds, which stacks to 5. That's why you kind of want to bring like Stone Crusher slash, Infinity Time slash Glacial Warlord. Evasion, its dodge increases by 10% for 30 seconds, which stacks to 4. And if you try to bring Shaman with the Elemental Embrace, its dodge chance increases by 950%. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The whole basis of Flibby is that you're supposed to like just buff and then ambush. That's pretty much the game plan for Flibby. Just rush and ambush as much as you can, and yeah, you should be done with that. Alright then, let's move on to the next challenge boss. So next, for our challenge bosses, we have Nightbane. Now Nightbane, me personally, I hate Nightbane. Out of the entire Void Trio quartet, if you want to include the kitten, I hate Nightbane the most. Mainly because of its abilities. It has Dire Wound, which reduces healing and dodge by 80% for 10 seconds. It also has a couple moves that could also recover its HP. And also its main ability, Blood Frenzy. Its crit is increased by 5,000% and dodge by 80% for 10 seconds. So you kind of see it's kind of like pretty difficult abilities, to get through. For your class comp, it's pretty much the standard for the Void bosses, Arch Paladin, Legion Revenant, Lord of Order, Dragon of Time, slash Arachnomancer. Your DPS are usually, Chaos Avenger, Virus Doom Knight, any other support slash, DPS, kind of like Chrono Shadow Slayer, Stone Crusher. It's the same basis as, with Fibby, where it's just like you gotta just run and ambush them as much as you can, and you should get the kill there. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright then, let's move on to the next Void boss. Alright then, for our second to last Void boss, we have Sarah the Nerf Kitten. Now, the class comp is still pretty much the same. The reason why I even included Sarah is just I just know there's probably a bunch of people that are grinding Virus Doom Knight and have to beat her and Zyfrag to, get Virus Doom Knight. So it's just kind of with Sarah's the Nerf Kitten's abilities, she has Pounce, which applies Nerf, which reduces haste, damage, dodge chance by 1% for 10 seconds, stacks to 50. Her yarn ball ability takes half of your HP. Silence, which nullifies mana for 3 seconds, and also she has 2 types of stat steal. She also applies stat stolen, reduces dodge, crit chance, and damage by 25% for 25 seconds, which stacks to 10 to the players, while she increases the same stats that she took for herself. So basically, it's just another game of just like you gotta ambush, watch your mana, watch your heal, stuff like that, and you should be able to, get the job done. Alright then, let's move on to the last Void boss. Now then, for our last Void boss, we have the slimy slime itself, Zyfrag. Now then, the class comp for Zyfrag is basically the same as the others, Arch Paladin, LR, Lord of Order, Dragon of Time, Chaos Avenger, Virus Doom Knight, and any other extra class. But LR has probably the most important role, and that is being the taunter. It's just that Legion Revenant has the most important role, being the taunter. The reason why, it's a taunter is because while you're fighting Zyfrag, a notification will pop up that says, blah, as it'll show on the screen right here and whatnot. And when that notification is shown, the Legion Revenant needs to press the Scroll of Enrage as soon as they see the notification. The reason why you kind of want Legion Revenant to be in this position is because of, its Force skill. As you know, it also provides a arcane shield, which, it doesn't provide, it only provides to itself and not the other party members. That's why like Legion Revenant, needs this role so it can have the arcane shield active, to protect itself and also be the only one to be attacked due to the Scroll of Enrage, because all the other classes are not really going to have, that level of protection. That's why it's kind of like when it comes down to fighting Zyfrag, your Legion Revenant or whoever's playing the role of Legion Revenant needs to, have taunt on them and whatnot. Otherwise, if you miss the taunt, then Zyfrag basically, inverts all your healing, inverts all your healing, and also rejuvenates itself as well. So yeah, that's pretty much, why, you see people be like, LR taunt, LR taunt, where's the taunt, LR? Because the reason why he wants to taunt is because, it has access to Arcane Shield, which gives it an extra layer of protection that the other classes cannot, like, even with stuff like Arch Paladin and Paladin Chrono, it's just like, they don't have that level of protection like Arcane Shield does to only the caster. And when paired up with, Scroll of Enrage, which makes it the only class, which makes it the only one that Zyfrag is targeting, it would also do some decent stuff as well. So, yeah, another note to say about the Void bosses is that they have a boss shield that caps out your damage at 10,000. So keep that in mind. So that's pretty much been it for like, the Void bosses. Now let's move on to the next challenge boss. Excuse me. Wow. All right, guys. So, our next challenge boss is Cthulhu Depths. Now this is the daily, one of the dailies for Dage. By the way, and whatnot. Let me just, do something right quick. Got it. Oh, got it. But back to the, video, whatnot. What you want to do here, now you do need a special item for this, which you're going to want to talk to this dude right here. Click on Daily Quest, Frenzy Feast. Look at the gold. Look at the stuff that you get. But, way before the fight starts, the most important thing you have to do is you have to buy this item that's called Vigil. Like everyone needs to wear this because the bosses kind of ignore, taunt. So you kind of want to wear Vigil to prevent the nightmares that the bosses will induce. As you go right here, as you go inside, you're going to see 3 bosses. Now then, the class comp for Cthulhu Depths is Arch Paladin, Legion Revenant, Lord of Order, Arcana Invoker, Stone Crusher / Infinity Titan, Dragon of Time, and Vera's Doom Knight. Now, the strategy for this is that, everyone needs to have Vigil equipped, and, you guys choose which, you guys have to, like, basically kill the tentacles right here on the left and right. Now, they do have, abilities which can, like, recover their HP by, like, 1% and whatnot. So, there's that. And also, during the fight, you will see a notification saying you can't resist. When you see that notification, you want to activate your Vigil. What that will do is that it will activate, you will be applied a Migraine, which is going to be a softcore DLT, which lasts about, 10 seconds. If you don't activate Vigil, you will be stunned. And also, it reduces all your incoming healing by 100%, and you'll be stuck with a DLT that lasts 60 seconds, which most likely is going to kill you. So you just want to like, make sure you're actually looking at the screen and whatnot while you're attacking the tendrils. When you see do not resist, stop everything and click on the vigil to prevent that from happening. Once you're done with the vigils, the strategy is like, beat the vigils, then you go straight into and ambush the God of the Depths. Now, the abilities of God of the Depths are, Peer, which has a chance to activate either Cthulhu's Glare or Cthulhu's Torment. Cthulhu's Glare increases mana cost by 100% for 5 seconds, while Cthulhu's Torment reduces, heal over time chance, reduced by 50% for 5 seconds. And also, when the fight immediately starts, it also has its abilities called, Waterlog, which reduces haste by 20% and dodge by 100% for 60 seconds. And also, when the fight starts, minus 50% to incoming damage and DOT. 100% outgoing damages, and also a minus 0% to dodge chance. And also, it has a boss shield active. And also it has another ability, End of Time, which basically removes all Temporal Rift and Chaos Rift. So that's basically them telling you do not bring Chronos into this fight. So, with Arcana Invoker, it has its stackable abilities, stacking all the way to Judgment, then you press Judgment, and then you basically go off. Stone Crusher is there to basically be support. And also you make sure that you have mana cost as well. Make sure that your mana's on point. Dragon of Time, DOTs multiple targets. And, Veer's Doom Knight, is there to break down the opponents. Hit chances, dodge, resistance, whatnot. Arch Paladin, obviously, its heal is one of the best in the game. Legion Revenant is just, all out multi-target support. Lord of Order is, the best party class in the entire game with all its support it's offering. And Arcana Invoker is going to probably be your main line of DPS. So yeah, guys, once that's done, and obviously when the tendrils come back, step away from the Gods of Death and make sure that before you even attack God of Depths again, you got to make sure that the tendrils are down. So yeah, that's pretty much, it for the Cthulhu fight. Now, let's move on to the next challenge boss. Alright, so another challenge boss that's, commonly, that people commonly fight is Devastator Deimos. Also, another Dage Daily. The class comp for Devastator Deimos is Arch Paladin, Lord of Order, Chaos Avenger, and this is a crazy one, about 2 Virus Doom Knights. The reason why it's like a couple of Virus Doom Knights is that, Virus Doom Knight, like I said earlier, Virus Doom Knight's purpose is to basically break down the opponent, while your other classes can literally go off, kind of like your Chaos Avenger and whatnot. Now, one of your Virus Doom Knights, needs to have the Dauntless enhancement, active and whatnot, to make sure this comp really goes well. So, Devastator Deimos is also like all the others, he has a boss shield. And its abilities are Pangorian Flames, which is an AoE, Decaying Howl, which basically applies do not heal, decay for 8 seconds. And when it's at 20% HP, its Brink of Death ability applies, applying Safeguard, blocking 1,000,000 damage for 15 seconds, and then when it activates, and also when those 15 seconds are over, it applies Dark Return, which fully heals Deimos and increases its outgoing damage by 200% and reduces cooldowns on the flames to 1 second. Also, its base abilities are, no dodge, 100% outgoing damage, and also starts out the fight with 50% damage resistance to start out the fight. So basically, there's that right there. That's why you kind of need, your 2 Virus Doom Knights, whatnot. Not even like Revenant will good here. Just Virus Doom Knight, is going to be your MVP due to the fact it's going to break down Deimos and whatnot. Even when Deimos does his Dark Return, Veer's Doom Knight will still have, reducing damage, reduce crit, whatnot. It's kind of like this is kind of like the fight for Veer's Doom Knight to really, show off its capabilities and its purpose in breaking down the opponent. So alright then, that's pretty much, it for Devastator Deimos. Dage daily so you can have a chance at getting this beautiful weapon right here. Alright then, let's move on to the last challenge boss. Alright guys, so for the last challenge boss I'm gonna mention in this video, we're gonna talk about Astral Amphitryon. Now then, the class comp for Astral Amphitryon is, the usual standard Arch Paladin, Legion Revenant, Lord of Order, Stone Crusher, Chaos Avenger, Vera's Doom Knight, and any other support, any extra support / DPS that you can find. And also, yeah, that's pretty much it. The class comp. For your taunters, you kind of want LR, you want your Legion Revenant and your Arch Paladin, or / Paladin Chronomancer to taunt on as well. Alright then, let's talk about Astral Amphiryon's abilities. It has Astral Beam, which reduces both resistances by 10%, which stacks. It has a Breath Charge, which charges for 2 seconds, which causes the glowing zone. Then we have Singularity, which increases damage by 500% with the notification to know that it's activated. Why do you deny our ascension? And then Stardust Breath, if Singularity is active, DOT reduces incoming healing by 80% for 4 seconds. And Supernova, the stars are ours to command, which basically activates Black Hole. So if there's anyone in the red zone, the glowing zone past 2 seconds, then it auto kills anyone that's in the red zone. Which also says, behold our Starfire as well. This class also has a boss shield, whatnot. So basically, this fight is basically it's similar to Ultra Dage, where it's kind of like, there's a glowing platform. Stay away from the glowing platform, and then just straight up ambush and rush the boss. Basically, it's a daily quest, whatnot. 7 players. As said, if you've mastered Ultra Dage, then this fight should really be not that much different from Ultra Dage. So yeah, that's pretty much, it for the Astral Amphitryon, fight. Alright then, let's move on to closing thoughts. Alright guys, so we're at the end of the video. I just want to give like a quick brief view about why people use these classes for, these challenge bosses. So let's get started. So Arachnomancer was kind of there, you pair it up with Dragon of Time to increase the DLTs. As Dragon of Time is just there to increase the DLTs that the opponent takes. Arcana Invoker is used in, the Cthulhu as kind of like the multi-targeting, DPS. Arch Paladin, as you know, is tanky support. Its heal is still one of the best in the game. Damage reductions, multi-targeting, whatnot. Chaos Avenger, or CAV, is like your main line of DPS. Main line of DPS, great base HP, yeah. Now, Chrono Shadow Hunter, you can get away with this kind of like at the Void bosses. Well, but it's kind of like a pay-to-win flex option, really. Glacian Warlord, it's basically a better Stone Crusher. Dragon of Time is for like the Void bosses, with its DOTs also used at the Cthulhu depths. DOTs. Infinity Titan / Stone Crusher, as it's support. Mana regen, whatnot, the shields. Legion Revenant, one of the best support classes in the game. The overall best class in the entire game still. Look at its force skill. Dodge, crit, chance, and outgoing damage by 30% for 12 seconds. You really can't ignore that. Plus Arcane Shield, gives it mana, whatnot, but only applies to the caster. Lord of Order, best support class in the entire game. You really can't start fights without it. Its support is just that good. Let's see. Obsidian Paladin Chronomancer is another like flex option. It's kind of like a substitute for Arch Paladin, but it's just that's pretty much it. It's the same thing as Arch Paladin, just pay to win. Quantum is another support class that can help you out, but it's a pay to win flex option. It also has DLTs as well, so you could like pair it up with Arachnomancer. Uh, then we have Virus Doom Knight. Virus Doom Knight, its goal is to basically break away at the opponent. That's pretty much it. These classes. So, yeah. Another thing I want to say here is this. Alright, guys. I've been playing this game for about 13 years. 14 this year. And I still don't get why, like, when it comes to, like, these ultras and these challenge bosses, there's, like, God complex or superiority. I never once understood that. Never once did. It's like, bruh, I understand where some of it comes from. Like, when you're going into these end game challenge fights, people are, you're expected even by, these randoms to know that, okay, the class comp and whatnot, but it may be someone's first time and they really just don't know. It's like, just quickly educate them. Do you have XYZ class? Do you know what taunt is? Whatnot. For the most part, enhancements don't really matter. It's like, you're not going to wear a full forge to most of these challenge fights anyways. Otherwise, look at your base HP. They can literally run around with like base or even awe enhancements and they'll do just fine. So I don't want to hear anything about forge. Yeah, forge does make things better, but it's just like, not everyone needs to wear forge enhancements. It's just like, I don't understand the God complex or the superiority, complex when like, when it comes to ultras and challenge bosses. It's like, if someone's asking what class to use, don't just like, rage and just leave and wanna just quickly educate them like, here's the standard comp for this team, whatnot, here's what you need to have. Because sometimes, bruh, it's just be like, people be arguing over like, oh, I want to use this class, or you're a noob because you don't know this comp, you don't know this spreadsheet, you don't have 10,000 Google documents saying how the boss fight goes. It's like, my guys, my people, it's a 2D flash game where you're just trying to like kill the boss, get your rewards, get your gold rewards, and call it a damn day. There's no need for that. Seriously, it's because at one point when you started playing the game, you were in Yogars asking people for drug gin and Nogaf larvae and whatnot, and guess what? They ignored you, right? Seriously, you at one point didn't know what forge enhancements are. You at one point didn't know what places to level up at. Puh, stutter. You didn't know how XP and class points work. Yeah, you. Hell, some of you guys still ask for drug gin and Nogaf larva. Still to this day. To this day. You guys still ask for that type of stuff. You guys have drug gin. You guys have this. You guys have that, but be the same people that want to mock people that don't know the team comp at ultras and challenge bosses without even telling them. It's like, come on, guys. Like, let's try to make like a positive environment when it comes to this game, because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to like kill the boss, get the rewards, and move on with our lives. There's no need to like get into like a bullying session or a belittling session because they don't know how Astral Infurion works. Because they don't know how Nightbane works. It makes zero sense. You're wasting your time and the other player's time. And what is it for anyway? Like, to feel righteous that, oh, I've beaten Nightbane 100 times. Like, who cares? Like, seriously. Help each other out. Get the job done. I'm not saying, add them to your friends list immediately right after. And another thing too that also grinds my gears is like, bruh, if someone like dies at the final seconds, bruh, can you at least like stay to help them out? Like, seriously. That's another thing I just straight up be hating. It's like, bro, someone dies at the last second at like an ultra and they just straight up leave right after, like knowing that someone died and they didn't get the kill. Like for the most part, I'll stay with them. And when it's like, it's trying to promote positivity in the game, whatnot. Especially when like most people in the game are like paired up with randoms or, pubs as they say, which is basically randoms. It just makes no sense. It's like, why belittle someone or put someone down because, they don't know this comp? You're wasting your time, you're wasting someone else's time, and you're wasting all the other people's time. Now you're just going back and forth with a person about this game. Oh, you're a noob because you don't know this. Your name's stupid. It's like, no, let's just kill this boss and get this over with. You're wasting everyone's time by doing that. You seriously are. Yes, you. All right, guys, that's pretty much been it. That's just been like like a mini rant right there about, pubs and whatnot because it's like, seriously, like roasting someone, knocking down someone because they don't know what taunt is and you don't even tell them, like, you're part of the problem, bud. Sorry to say. Yeah, that's pretty much been a mini rant because I'm just straight up tired of seeing it in pubs. I know I'm gonna keep on seeing it in pubs. It's just like that's one of the things that like grinds my gears about AQ Worlds. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much been it for the challenge bosses, guide video. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and yeah, hi guys out. Follow for more content. You know, NBA, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatnot. I mean, the NBA playoffs is coming. WrestleMania 41 is coming as well. Can't wait for those. And yeah, hi guys out.